You have a story to tell. You want your fingertips to clickety-clack on the keyboard. You want your tale available at Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com, Amazon, and bookstores near and far. But the fact of the matter is without having some research done, you know nothing.
Jon Snow.
You don't talk during the intros.
Sorry.
What Ryan just did was make a mistake. You will also make mistakes, unless you sit down and have a nice little chat with us here on Attack on Table. Welcome to Attack on Table, where Ryan and I sit down, take a break from interviewing authors about their books and their stories, and discuss the craft, sometimes with guests, sometimes without.
And if you guys like what we do here, but you want to see how else we use our creative outlets, check out the other playlists we have, like Wow, That's What We Call Poetry, and our monthly Teletales, where we kind of craft stories and invite you to do the same.
We are on every social network to some degree, so you can also follow us there, but all that gobbledygook aside, likes, share, subscribe, notifications. Ryan, what are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about mistakes, and this is going to be a challenge for you and I, since we never make them. But we're talking about mistakes new writers make when they're kind of getting their first tackle at a book or story that they're engaging in flawlessly.
And all joking aside, this is really just an advisory thing. Things we learned because we both have technically published a story each. And these are just a couple of things that we kind of compiled to discourage you from doing while you set out on your writing journey. It's a little reminiscent of your Dear Duncan episode 1 with Danielle Orcutt, where you were talking about how to get started. But that was more geared towards telling the story itself. This is going to be more towards like things you don't want to do as you're writing and once you've written your story, correct?
Yeah, and a lot of these topics can kind of get packaged into a guise of like, hey, these seem like good ideas, but in truth, they're not. In application, they tend to fall apart pretty quickly. Just to give an example, we'll kind of just jump right into it. Trying to write for everyone.
Can't do it.
It feels at your core like it's a good thing, and it should be like a challenge that you rise to. It's not a good idea. You're not going to make everybody happy. Every reader has a different sense of what a story should kind of feel like, but you are the architect, so you really kind of tell the story the way you envision the story should be told, and just kind of let the cards fall where they may in regards to that.
Yeah, my favorite advice that I've heard, kind of like packaged in a neat little bun with there is just like, write the story you would want to read. Because that's going to kind of narrow down, like you're going to have, at that point, you're increasing the odds that you will find an audience that you are agreeable with. And then from there, you can build out and dabble and whatnot. But I think for the first story, if you're out on your very first trek writing, write something that you're going to enjoy reading. That way, if you never sell a copy, at least you got that.
Yeah, and I do feel like not every author is going to agree with this, but I feel like a vast majority is, which is, don't be afraid to potentially offend somebody because you've written an idea. I feel like as writers, we should encourage each other to take chances.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to succeed, but writing as a history has always been about broaching subjects or pushing boundaries or opening people's minds, and that requires the potential of offense.
Other writing mistakes, while we're in that category or whatnot, and something that I think a lot of brand new authors probably struggle with the most is thinking, like, over explaining, thinking that you need to really paint the picture of the setting and not getting your story moving quickly enough. And I think that why that's a mistake is because you're unintentionally insulting your audience's intelligence, and you should be able, like, you should trust your audience to some degree to be able to keep up with you as you do that. You will run off potential viewers if you try to just give us the whole world history of your literary universe, I guess, before we even meet the main character. Ryan and I have actually turned away stories that did that when they submitted to be interviewed by us, because we try to curate this and make sure that we're selecting authors that are ready. Not to say that we won't take somebody who's new and has a few kinks to work out, but we want to be bringing people who know how to tell a story to you. And that is one of the big no-nos that I think a lot of people probably make on their first go at writing, where you just have a whole chapter's worth to read through to tell you everything that happened before the story. And what would you say is the big violation there, Ryan?
Well, if I jump on to what you initially started on, was just like over description, and then you kind of actually married that with like lore dumping, which I think is probably an excellent execution there, where you're just essentially providing too much information, most likely at the wrong time, and it slows your story down. It can bore the reader if they don't find the information you're providing interesting. That's probably the biggest problem in regards to lore dumping, is it's just uninteresting information.
Yeah.
But if I would go so far as to kind of, I once heard a author describe like what you're describing, too much information, either lore dumping or just too much description, in the same vein that they talk about comedy, which is like once you start to explain the joke no longer becomes funny. And so it's like you have to have some degree of expectation that your audience, your readership, is intelligent enough to get the subtlety of what you say and then move on, so that you're not killing the joke, so to speak.
Right. And that's just one example. I don't want to dwell on every mistake a new writer can make or anything in the writing of their first draft or whatever. I don't want to do a line-by-line breakdown of everything that somebody can do wrong. So much of it could be boiled down to really just not trusting your readers or audience, and not trusting yourself to convey the message and the theme and the general, like, I don't know, feeling of the story. The thing that you are tasked to do as a writer at the beginning is not to make sure that everybody understands everything as well as you do. It's to get their attention. Your first chapter should have something. And I don't know if I'm a letter of the law guy about the whole inciting incident must happen in the first chapter kind of thing. I think you could do some character intro, but it needs to be interesting. It needs to grab attention.
I would go so far as to agree with you, to the point that I feel it is probably more important the way you're saying whatever it is you're saying versus the content of what you're actually saying. Sure. I think if you can master the skill set of just speaking in a compelling manner, the information doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman could read a cookbook to me.
True.
And I'll be there for every 1,000 pages of it.
So
just because
fucking invested.
Yeah. And in the same on the same coin, if we were to flip it over, like you said, a lot of this stuff that boils down in the writing aspect is a combination of the reader or the writer not trusting themselves, or trusting the audience. I think you could flip that too, because there is a balance. You can overestimate what your audience is capable of understanding, and then you can overestimate your own skills, or
Yes.
just have too much confidence in what you're producing without, you know, being a little bit more due diligent. And that's what like beta readers and stuff are for, you know.
Yeah, beta readers are not the end all be all for getting your book published. It might tell you, they might be the message that you might get from them is that you need to revisit the story. Don't not revisit the story after the first draft, but also don't edit and revise into eternity. But your beta readers might give you an idea that there's a certain part of your story that you need to polish up. You need to, like, oh, I lost them here. How can I make that more interesting while still sticking to the plot and everything?
And definitely don't publish, like self-publish your first draft. don't do that. That's maniac behavior.
You are a fool.
Yeah.
Engaging in a classic blunder. I'd kind of like to move on. A lot of it's common sense. I'm not going to insult you, new writer, by saying you can't go do your own research into what are common new writer mistakes with the writing process itself, but what's beyond the writing, the editing. You know, we can get into something like that. Like, what is, just like what you said, Ryan, a big editing mistake would be to not do any at all. And just publishing the first draft. Be like, I can't believe it, but I nailed it.
Yeah, to believe in yourself that thoroughly is
also
you might want to seek help.
Yes.
To call that a mistake feels like you're insulting the word mistake.
Yes. A little minimalist.
But
don't refuse
I would
feedback.
say, yeah, I would say a good one that kind of slips by people is like formatting inconsistently. That stuff matters a lot, especially if you're trying to get it traditionally published. You know, if you're inconsistent in your formatting, you might as well just kiss your dream goodbye, because that ain't making it past, you know, the first gatekeeper.
Right. And beyond those hollow requirements, that is just, well, we like to get it the way we like to get it. If you're going to self-publish, then you're formatting your own book. Don't run yourself ragged trying to like format your book line by line. There's a lot of YouTube videos to show you how to do it quickly. There are some settings on like Microsoft Word that can do it. There are packages that people offer for free that you can use to like format your book and then run through and make sure that it hit it the way you want to, where you can actually browse through the different ways to format your novel the way that you want to see it, but still like a good way where it comes off looking like it came from a good published, like a publisher's house. God, I can't talk tonight.
Well, I mean, since you're kind of in that realm already, and I think we were talking about even doing like its own attack on table or down to Fitz in regards to like using beta readers. Don't rely solely. It's okay to have them, because one, it can be a nice little confidence boost to use your friends and family as beta readers, but don't rely solely on them. Get the opinions of some strangers. There's some really good tips as to like how to get good feedback from them, not just like expecting them to provide it. You create a form, ask particular questions that you are interested in knowing the answers to, things like that. Like I said, I think Sean and I are planning on doing a show about it at some point.
Eventually. We're going to have to.
Yeah. Because it's really good, like, information to kind of sort through.
Yes. Another editing mistake is skipping any part of it at all. Like, you should get in there and edit it, have it edited, have it looked at by other people. Like, getting that feedback and just from a scope and a perspective that is outside of your own, because you know what you mean, but you can't trust everybody else to. So getting other eyes on it, Like, don't hoard that thing away like Gollum in the One Ring for however many hundreds of years he had it. It's not yours, even if it is your precious. Like, it's going to be other people's when they purchase it and read it, and you want it to be polished and understandable. And that is what editors help with, be that line editors, development editors. They can help point out continuity errors if you have one where you thought something was implied, but it wasn't that well. So,
well, it's interesting you bring up the differences in editing, because I think that is another mistake a lot of new writers make, which is just kind of anticipating that the one person you've sought out to edit is going to edit everything to a degree that you feel like once they come back and they're like, yeah, it's solid, then you're good. But it's like, well, they probably just did like copy editing and they were like, yeah, looks clean. But you're like, you got all these continuity errors, names aren't spelled the same, things, so
yeah.
like, if you can, I know it can be an expense, but if you can, try to invest in different forms, or at least when you seek out editing assistants, seek out different forms and have those people focus on certain elements so that you can get the best polish on it that you can.
Yeah, and if you do engage an editor, make sure you know what you're getting out of them. If it's not just explicitly stated what kind of editor they're going to be. Maybe they do tackle it from all four quadrants or whatever. I'm not an editor, I don't know. But make sure that, if they're not going to be a developmental editor, you're still probably going to have to talk to one. Or it would at least behoove you.
Yeah.
I would say, outside of editing, one thing that I know that I spent a lot of time messing around with was coming up with a cover for my book, a blurb to go on the back of it and everything. And the cover, the first edition of Bleeding the Divine was just something I whipped up in Canva that I thought stuck closely enough to the feel of the book, in a font that I enjoyed, and I got lucky. I think I've perused Canva and not been so wild when thinking of cover art just for funsies, for the book I'm working on now. Didn't really like it much, but I will give the website 99 Designs a shout out on this. Not a sponsor or anything like that. I just used them for the second cover I had. And it's a really cool site where it does cost, back then, at least in 2021, it was $2.99. I don't know what it is now, if that's changed at all, but you have artists who do this for commission bidding for making your cover for you. You give them a lot of instruction, and I did get to work with, I believe it was 3, and then I whittled it down to 2 right up until the very end, and I made my choice, essentially based off of who was going to get the cover prepared by the deadline, and that was it was a cool experience. They'll even allow you to make a poll if you want feedback from other people about, which cover do you think looks best and everything, if you want to get, like, if you're in love with them both. And I thought that was really cool. But if you aren't a graphic designer to some degree, like, you better be really good at PowerPoint or Microsoft Paint.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily so. Like, I love this conversation because you're the position of like, hey, I reached out, I had some resources provide me with some stuff. I'm coming from the stance of I created my own cover. So I think like we have good advice back and forth in whatever avenue you want to take. I would say for me, if you don't have a lick of artistic sense, probably lean on someone that does. They don't need to be like the best professional in the world. Generally someone with just an eye for spacing and color and font usage. That can get a little in the weeds, like the deeper you get into like imagery and stuff like that. But just having like a solid sense, I think you can get a proper cover. We've talked to multiple authors that have designed their own covers. Some of them
True.
just blew me away. Others were like, yeah, this is a decent cover.
Yep.
And I think that can.
Go ahead. I'm not trying to interrupt you.
Oh, I think that's adequate on its own until you can like feel like you get some backing or you want to put some money into it. It's just like when you're creating your own cover, the things I would avoid doing is crowding the cover. Let it breathe. Don't use a bunch of different fonts. I think a good rule of thumb is probably 2 at max. Yeah, I think ultimately the most important thing when it comes to cover is just make sure that it doesn't mirror or copy. I don't want to say copy, but that it doesn't resemble other covers too much. Like,
right.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to potentially get in trouble for that kind of stuff. But
yeah. I mean, they say never judge a book by its cover, but they're never actually talking about books with that. If it is a book, it will be judged by its cover. So you do need to do what needs to be done to make sure that that jumps out to potential readers. The cover is going to be what draws them close and gets them to turn it around and get you to the blurb.
Which I feel like you have more experience in than I do. I feel like I'm probably, out of the two of us, the worst at blurb writing.
Well, in my mind, really, the job of your blurb, the synopsis on the back of the book, is not to really tell much. It's to give maybe just a little bit more information that the reader might get from the first chapter, a few insinuations about what might go down, and just the overall feel of the book. To see, it's what somebody can read to be like, oh, that does sound interesting. I'll crack it open. Like, that's the job of the blurb. And that's just something, if you're not sure about it, I would just bounce it off of a few folks in writing groups on social media that you're in, and get some feedback on it. People will be more than happy to point out any of the faults in it, and some of them might even be nice enough to give you pointers.
Yeah. I would say my probably weakest point with blurb writing is, like, there's a general rule of advice, I'd say, that's like, hey, make sure in your blurb there's some kind of call to action mentioned in there. I think I'm probably the worst at that, because doing that doesn't really translate to me the same way as it does for other people. Like, I find just like, I don't want to say a vague mystery, but kind of just like laying out the potential of a mystery is a call to action. But
yeah, I don't know how I would feel about like a blurb being like, read now. Don't tell me what to do.
Well, I meant
collection of dead tree shavings.
I don't mean like that kind of call to action. More of like the character is somehow called into action.
Well, I mean, that's the inciting incident and everything. And like I said, you get a little bit of some foundational information, as well as like what the main issue is. What are they up against? And then like the best word I could think of is some insinuation of what is to come out of that. Maybe, depending on how much of your story you want revealed, what the stakes are. Is the world in jeopardy? Is someone's marriage going to fall apart?
In regards to like actually publishing, I think it so a lot of people don't do a lot of research, and I don't think Sean and I need to go into this in great detail, because we actually have an episode where we kind of go into the lengths of your publishing options in regards to traditional, self, hybrid, stuff like that. And if you're more curious about your options as a new writer, go check out that episode. And if you have any deeper questions, hit us in the comments or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you have questions about publishing, I would say post them in either video, and you just ask us. I think one thing that we haven't ever really gotten into that we saw was a kind of a mistake. I don't think it's so much as a mistake as something that people don't have a whole lot of information on, is like realistically pricing your book. I'm sorry, if you're a no-name author who's never published anything before, you're probably not selling your book for $40 paperback.
Yeah.
And if you charge that for an ebook, Stop.
Well, I think like yeah, I think what a lot of people do when I think they do like a cursory search of just like, hey, I wrote a book, it's this many words, what do those normally sell for,
Yes.
price, you know?
And you
But
can
you should
find,
really remember to slap in that new author thing into whatever word search you're looking at,
I would just
you know,
say,
because you'll see
chop
the prices are different.
a percentage off the price to kind of like show that humility, you know?
Yeah,
You don't, it's not that you aren't devaluing your story. You are appropriating the fact that you are an unearned, unspoken for individual. Nobody's going to be shouting your praises until they've read your book. You need to make it as appealing as possible for them to read it. So let them
but
get their
don't
hands on it.
yeah, but don't like bottom barrel it either. There is
No.
such a reality as the perception of quality.
And there are multiple
you know,
charts out there that will, I believe they get, I forget for the life of me. If I can find it, I will put a link to it in the description that had a breakdown of like your general paperback cost of what, I think it even went to like page size of the book, but how many pages, how many words, what genre it was. They kind of broke it down to like what a good price range was for a novel that would be like market average, and then stay in that realm, a little high, a little low, whatever.
yeah.
No big deal. Once you do publish it, the amount that they charge for it's going to change anyway over the years. So
Yeah, true.
you won't have to really worry about that. They'll change it for you, I've discovered. But yeah, I don't want to dwell too much on like publishing stuff. We've talked about it a few different ways, but the thing that we've also discussed this, but it bears repeating: marketing. When do you start marketing, new reader? The answer is already.
Yeah. 6 months ago.
Yes.
That's what you should have been. And I would say the number one, if I had to put numbers on this in regards to the promotion and marketing thing, the number one mistake new authors do, and this is dial it up, listen.
Are you
They
listening?
don't come on to the Fitz of Writing to promote their book. That is
God,
the number one biggest mistake these people do. It's insane. It's insane. I don't know what else we can do to encourage that, but that behavior needs to stop immediately. Shame on you. Shame on me for my shameless plug.
Yes, that was awful. It was roughly as narcissistic as publishing your first draft, but I will take it, and I will allow it. No, I'd say the biggest problem that most authors have is thinking that they're going to jump on social media and spam with their blurb, or just a link to their book in all of the literary circles in social media, all of the forums, all of the groups. Like that is going to get you any kind of real attention because you are in a sea of other people who are doing the same exact thing. And you're all authors, let's be real. You don't want to buy any of their books. You want people to buy yours.
I would say a good thing is like when you're doing it, like you said, don't go out there, don't be a buy me, don't do that. That can be, it's very spammy. One, it seems like a lot of these platforms are getting hip to that and trying to boot that stuff off more often. So like you're actually hurting yourself more than anything now. But like just being inconsistent with your branding can be damaging. You know, if you go by X name, try to push that name as much as possible. Try to, try not to change covers if you're in the middle of a advertising campaign.
Yeah.
Just stick with the cover you have in that junk and keep moving forward.
People like to buy from people they know. That's just a thing. People that they know and people that they like. That is a basic sales tenet. And Ryan and I are in sales and have spent time in sales. We know we've had that just vomited into our mouths over and over again. throughout the years, and it is, but there's truth to it. So get your audience to know you, and then every once in a while be like, hey, by the way, I'm writing a book. It should be ready here. But get people to be interested in you and the things that you have to offer and what's going on with your writing journey, because other authors will be able to kind of engage with you then, and maybe then they will want to support you, and you can in turn support them, and you will be able to start networking. Your name will be known to some degree. You will find people who want to get your story when you put it out there. And I think that that is the most invaluable part of this. And it isn't easy. Trust me, we're trying to figure out fun ways to get people more active on this channel. And you guys just refuse to comment.
It could be a dogfight. I mean, yeah.
And
you don't want to just be pushing out your own promotional material. You do want to kind of be. I think what it comes down to is it feels like it's a sense of earnestness. Like if you're out there just in the zeitgeist, if you're just in it, I feel like it feels more honest than if you're just only visiting to tell us about the new thing you're selling. I think people are more receptive to just you being present and then you're mentioning that you're selling something versus, hey, I've been gone for 6 months. I have a new book. Check it out. Doing stuff like that it can feel cringy a little bit, and too much of it. Again, like with the buy me, jumping into every post. You're like, hey, I've got this. Check out my book.
Yeah. I mean, outside of that.
I did make a note here. Sorry. Since I didn't want to leave the promotion thing. Good key of advice: don't argue with reviewers. Especially your own.
In the writing groups that I was in for a long time, there was a guy who got just torn to shreds over something in his book with a negative review, and he took it and turned it into an ad for his book, because the negativity in the review was. Trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was something that was fundamentally, why does this make you so angry in a fantasy story kind of deal. And the author, I think, did a really good trick by taking it and being like, like, warning, this thing that's pretty normal in fantasy nowadays offends this guy, so don't buy my book. And I saw it everywhere, and I saw a lot of engagement with those posts, and I saw a lot of people commenting on it, and I'm so sorry, I don't remember your name. It's been a while since I saw that. I just remember thinking, wow, smart. Don't let anybody bring you down. Don't argue with them. You're not going to change somebody's mind. Those days are over.
Yeah, we're not in the mind changing business anymore. That's a great message.
Yeah. No, take the feedback and come to your own conclusion if you decide that they're correct or not. And if they are, and you can honestly accept that maybe you did make a mistake, then fix it in the next book and don't do it again. Feedback is valuable, even if it's mean-spirited. It doesn't have to tear you down. It doesn't have to make you sad. Learn from it. The end.
Yep. I think that kind of brings us into the final thing that we wanted to talk about, which was like mindsets, mindset mistakes. Like you said, just kind of learn from that, absorb the bad feedback, learn from that. Don't take criticism personally. You have to kind of learn to just let it be what it is.
Yes.
It's not an indictment on you as a person or your own personal abilities. You tried something, someone didn't, one person, two people didn't like it. It's okay. It's not an affront to your personhood or your authorship. And don't give up. It's tough. Being a writer is tough.
It's a
Trying
muscle
to
you
be
build.
Successful as a writer is tougher.
Yep. but it's a muscle you build by using it. And just like if you have a coach for bodybuilding or anything like that, they're going to show you, the people are going to criticize you and tell you what you could be doing to be better. If they don't give you that, then they're probably not worth taking too seriously if they're just tearing into you. But if they're trying to help you, then those are the people that honestly care. They want you to succeed, but they're trying to give you some advice on how to get there. So don't get hurt by that. You cannot walk into any profession, any sales position, any real industry with tissue paper skin. Like, be ready to get told you're not perfect. It's okay. You will survive.
Iron must be forged, as they say.
Yeah. Trying to do it as an island. Can it be done? Yes. Is it worth the monumental effort? That's a personal question. But even as far like with beta readers and editors and everything like that, like I still kind of, at least personally, I stick by the idea that getting perspectives outside of your own is important. Unless you are able to disassociate from your own personality, I wouldn't recommend trying to do this cradle to grave all by yourself. It's a lot of work. And
yeah, even like the top people often have a team assisting them, not just like their
100%
editors or anything like that, but like just confidants that they feel like they can rely on a portion of something. Is just helping them keep things organized, keeping them on track of their own writing schedule.
Right.
You know, it feels like you need to do everything alone, but honestly, when in terms of success, you do whatever you feel like you need to do in order to gain that success. Whatever you feel like would make you successful, push into that direction.
Yep. And we have talked to so many people since we kind of rekindled the show and everything, both on the AOTs, but especially the author interviews, because those don't exist without talking to other authors. A lot of them have subscribed to the channel, and from anybody else who's subscribed to the channel, I'm assuming many of you are authors. So what do you do when writing's getting mundane and you're not seeing anything for it? How do you keep yourself chugging along like the little engine that could?
Or for fun, just tell us like a mistake that you initially made and now feel like you've seen the errors of, and you're like, yeah, I would never do that again. We'd love to hear that stuff too.
There are so many things that I would do if I could talk to 2021 author Sean, and most of them are violent.
Yeah, I would have not rewritten a book that I'm rewriting for the 10th time.
You're gonna do
would have stopped that.
You're gonna do it in 11th. I bet you.
Probably.
All right. Yeah, This has been your introductory course to Don't Do That.
Yeah, if you guys want to see more, let us know. We'll try to continue talking about this. I mean, I feel like this stuff is helpful. If you agree, let us know. If not, we'll shut up about it and pick different subjects.
We'll never shut up. We've got plans to take AOT on far beyond the sun.
I meant
red giant.
And
explode
for mistakes. AOTs are continuing. If you guys want to hear more mistakes or hear us talk about them, let us know. Otherwise, we'll shut up.
If you've got a topic you want to hear us discuss, or you want to come on the show and discuss a topic or educate us on a certain aspect that you feel that you are pretty proficient in, like talking. I need help tonight. But if you want to come onto the show and talk about a certain aspect, or you want us to discuss a certain aspect, maybe even with somebody who's been on the show, put it down in the comments. Trust us, we look at each and every one of them, and we answer. Pretty much all of them.
90% of them.
Yeah,
60% of the time, we answer every time.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Sean, one last question before we go.
What it is?
How do we end these?
initially.